So you want to get into sales, or maybe you just started your sales job. Well, firstly, good for you and congratulations. I believe sales is a very, very important skill, but unfortunately, it is not for everybody. For those who might not know me, I've been in sales for over 10 years, from retail to tech all the way to car sales. Then I ended up taking an entrepreneurial path where I opened up my car dealership that I was able to scale to six figures and I exited that business. And a funny story, when I sold my first car ever, I was so nervous that I dropped a massive discount just because I wanted to make that sale so bad. But that feeling that I got when I made that sale was amazing. And I wanted everybody to experience that feeling. Throughout my sales journey, I've always been a resource for people around me. You see, I've always gotten that call where, hey Hassan, my client is not wanting to buy because of X, Y, and Z. How can I overcome this? And I step in and help them out. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, well, I have all this value, I have all this knowledge. Why don't I share it with a wider audience, like my audience on YouTube? So this is when I decided to start my sales consultancy firm to provide value and help people like you to become the best salesperson that you can be, and no matter what the industry is. So check out the link in the description. You're gonna learn more about YTC, your trusted consultant, and don't forget to schedule your first strategy call. It is completely free. So with that being said, let's get into the video. So there are 5 things that I would like you to know if you're starting a sales job or you've been in sales but you're not seeing the results. Let's start with the first one. The first thing that I want to start with is courage. You have to have the courage to approach your clients even though you know in the back of your head you might get rejected. You know if you're gonna knock on that door, you might get yelled at, or the client might tell you, get out of their face. But you still go ahead and do it. This is what you need to know, and this is the kind of courage you need to have. It is very simple. It is very similar to dating. Whenever you want to go ahead and approach a girl, you know she might say, I'm not interested, or she might say, hey, I'm married, or she might yell at you, or she might say, hey, don't talk to me, don't bother me. But you still go ahead and do it. So it is the same thing. You see, a lot of people, when they get rejected, they get hurt. And they keep that with them. They keep holding on to it. And what happens is they take that rejection to the next client. They take it with them. They go ahead to the next client. They knock on the door. They're already hurt. Their mind is not up there. Their pitch is not up there. So they get rejected again from the next client. They did not learn from the first rejection because they were hurt still. So they cannot close the next client. Let me share with you a secret. The second client does not know if you had gotten rejected or if you had made $1 million just 2 days ago. You need to learn how to rinse and repeat. If you get rejected, you need to learn why did you get rejected. You need to see what is it that you did wrong that you could do better, and then you need to forget about it so you can move on to the next client and do it again. And this is the first thing that you need to do. If you're getting into sales, you have to have the courage, and you need to know that number one, you're gonna get rejected many, many times. You're gonna get a lot of no's before getting one yes. So don't carry that package on and just rinse and repeat. And now let's get to the second thing, which is listening. You see, this is an issue that a lot of reps deal with. They do not know the skill of listening. They do not have the skill of listening. They just want to talk. They just want to pitch the client, which that does not work. You need to listen to the client so you can identify the pain points of the client. What is the client struggling from? How can I help the client? Remember, people buy from people, and the client needs to see you being genuine about helping them. And you cannot seem too pushy. So you need to listen, genuinely listen to your client, identify the issues, and believe me, towards the end, the more you listen, the more odds you'll have to close that deal. And the third point is mastering your product. You really need to know all the in and outs of what you're selling and what you're offering. Because if you're not a master at what you have to offer to your client, you're gonna sound less trustworthy. And one thing I noticed from a lot of sales reps is that their manager does not offer them a proper training. So they possibly do not show them all the features of the product, or maybe a new feature drops and the manager does not notify the sales rep right away. Well, you cannot just sit back and cry about that your manager did not let you know. If you really want to become a top sales rep, you need to seek that information. You need to know what's happening in your industry. You need to know what's happening within your company. You need to know what's happening within your competitors. You need to know every single thing that drops, all the new features that your product has, all the news about your product or other competitors. So you cannot just sit down and expect someone is going to come your way and spoon feed you the news or the information and then you're going to become a great salesperson. You need to seek it. You need to insist, and you cannot take a no for an answer. You need to know everything about what you got to offer. And you need to be in your client's shoes as well. You need to test out your own product. You need to be on the other side of the equation, so you know what the customers are experiencing. So the next day when you want to go ahead and sell your product, you're gonna know all the struggles your clients are going through when they use your product, and you're gonna be able to answer every single question they had even before they ask it. So know your product. This is very important. And number 4 is mastering your pitch. You see, you really need to master what you're telling your client. Mastering your pitch is very, very important. And you're not going to be able to master what you're telling your client if you do not improve on your listening skills. Remember earlier we were talking about listening, how important listening is, and if you do not listen, you're not going to be able to pinpoint the issues the client is facing. Well, if you cannot do that, then you're not going to be able to tailor your pitch to the client. So keep in mind, listening is very important. Once you listen, you pinpoint the issues the client is facing, then you can go ahead and tailor your pitch to your client's needs. Remember, you need to repeat your pitch over and over and over until it becomes normal, until it becomes a part of you. For you to become a great salesperson, you need to do a lot of repetitions. And now the 5th point is body language. You really need to understand body language. You need to know what the client is doing and what does that mean. Imagine you're talking to a client face to face and the client keeps looking at his watch. Does that mean he is enjoying your conversation? Or does that mean he has another appointment to go to? So by you understanding client's body language, it's gonna help you excel in your sales. If you're gonna look at a client and is he yawning, is he bored, is he not paying attention to you? Imagine you're going very deep in your pitch and the client is not even paying attention to you because you don't understand body language, so you still continue going in your pitch. So knowing body language is extremely important. It's gonna help you navigate that conversation. It's gonna help you on taking the conversation from step A all the way to step B. You're gonna be able to tell your client, hey, pay attention. This is important in a different way. So body language is very, very important. You need to know your client's body language. Believe it or not, getting into sales might be the best thing that would ever happen to you. And at the same time, you might realize it's not even for you. Remember what I mentioned earlier in the video? It's just not for everybody. You need to have a thick skin. You cannot carry your emotions on your shoulders and walk around with them. And one last thing I would recommend is to stay away from negative co-workers. So what do I mean by that? You see, imagine waking up in the morning, having your cup of coffee and going to work, very excited, very motivated to make some sales. The moment that you go into work, you have that coworker that approaches you all upset and disappointed and not motivated and depressed because he did not hit his goal last week, or he did not hit his quota last month. And he just keeps on nagging and telling you how upset he is and how unmotivated he is during your working hours. So what is it that you're gonna do? You're gonna shift your focus from selling and closing deals to trying to make him feel better. And this is completely wrong. And this is why I highly recommend you staying away from negative coworkers, but sticking to the killers and to the coworkers that are only going to make you better. What I used to do is when I used to go into work and I have a coworker that is not feeling good due to him not being able to hit his goal or getting rejected multiple times, I tried to motivate him. I tried to elevate him to my level so he could close more deals, but at the same time, I will not go down to his level where I feel demotivated. I tried to either motivate him or to have a conversation with him after work so I could motivate him for the next day. You see, these are some simple tips that I wanted to share with you, and if you have found the value today in this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for the channel, and share the video with your friends and family. And let's continue growing together. Thank you, and I'll see you guys soon.